than they were earlier. They face the Providence Bruins. We have sports director Spencer Davidson live at the Adirondack Bank Center ahead of puck drop to get us ready for the matchup. Spencer.
Good evening, Kristen. Good evening, everyone. And yeah, I should say former News Channel 2 sports intern Kristen Copeland. She was right on the money. It's really hard to overstate just how big that win was on Wednesday for the Comets. Coming back from down 1-0 to score 3 third-period goals and come away with a 3-1 win against the Laval Rocket. It just may have saved the Comets' season, and it certainly made the situation look a little bit better here, put them in a better spot coming into tonight with another big challenge ahead. Let's take a look at what I mean. Now, this is where we stand currently in the North Division playoff picture at the moment. The Rocket are clinging on to the 5th and final playoff spot in the division. A regulation loss on Wednesday would have put Utica 7 points back of Laval with 10 games to go. However, the comeback win gave the Comets essentially a 4-point swing, bringing them to within just 3 of Laval. Utica also has 2 games at hand on the Rocket, and also 1 game at hand on the Belleville Senators, who are 1 point ahead of them in 6th. Laval and Belleville are squaring off tonight for the first of a back-to-back, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that going on out of town as well. The Comets really hoping the teams earn a regulation split in these 2 games to limit each to just 2 points gained, or even honestly 2 regulation wins by the Senators would be acceptable to keep Utica close. But of course, it all hinges on the Comets taking care of their business with 4 points on the line the next couple of nights, including 2 big ones here tonight against Providence, a team with lots of former Comets connections. Utica needs wins to stay afloat. That's really what it comes down to. This is just their second of 4 meetings this year against the Bruins, but these teams will also square off twice in Providence in just a couple of weeks. So a lot of Utica's playoff hopes are riding on how they can fare against a very tough Bruins team the rest of the way, something that's not lost on head coach Kevin Dineen.
Providence, Riley Walsh that was here last year. Again, you get to know some of the players on other teams, but Providence always gives you a stiff game. We know we're going to play them a lot. Our series against them will impact how our time is spent in late April and early May, so we're putting a real priority on it, and we certainly will have a level of playoff intensity to those games.
Comets and Bruins drop the puck tonight at 7 before Utica welcomes in the Springfield Thunderbirds tomorrow to close out the month of March before heading out on a 4-game road trip over the next couple of weeks while the Women's Worlds are in town. So again, certainly things looking a little bit better than they did here earlier in the week, but the Comets really need to keep on winning or that will change very quickly. Coming up at 6, I will dive a little bit more into this matchup tonight against Providence. Plus, I'll tell you what else you can expect to see tonight on News Channel 2 Sports. Lots of good stuff going on, actually, including right here at the Odd Comets and Bruins at 7. Warm-ups about 6:30. One last look for you during News Channel 2 at 6. But until then, Kristen, former News Channel 2 sports intern with the great analysis earlier, I'll send it back to you up in the studio.
Right. All right, let's do a little bit more.
Key night in Utica here at the Adirondack Bank Center as the Comets get ready to play host to the Providence Bruins for the second of a 3-game homestand this week and first of 2 straight here this weekend. Utica is coming off a massive come-from-behind win over North Division rival Laval Rocket on Wednesday, coming away with a 3-1 victory after trailing by 1-0 heading into the third. 3 straight goals in the third period really may have saved their season, keeping their playoff hopes alive as they pull within just 3 points back of the Rocket for the 5th and final playoff spot in the North Division, with 10 games still to go in the regular season and 2 games at hand on Laval. So we're entering tonight with a bit of a brighter outlook, but of course the Comets really need to continue to rack up some wins here in order to stay afloat. This Bruins team here tonight is one that the Comets really aren't too familiar with, on the ice at least, but lots of connections to the organization off of it, with a bunch of former Comets players, including Michael DiPietro, Vincent Arsenault, Jason Megna, all from the Canucks days, and Riley Walsh, who was here in Utica just last year. This is just their second meeting this season. The Comets dropping a 5-2 decision to the Bruins here at the Aud in December. But these teams will also square off twice in Providence in just a couple of weeks. So a lot of Utica's playoff hopes hinges on the results in the remainder of this season series. Providence enters tonight in a comfortable position. They're second in the Atlantic Division and need just 1 point to clinch a playoff spot in the Calder Cup playoffs. So even an overtime or shootout loss here in Utica tonight would do the trick. The Comets, on the other hand, they need a combination of 22 points gained along with those lost by division rivals to get in. So their path to the postseason is a bit more complicated. Utica, though, can certainly make it a bit more simple on themselves by winning games. Now, while it is certainly a huge tilt here tonight at the Aud, there's a lot going on of interest to the area that we're going to be coming your way tonight at 11 down in the Big Apple. Opening day in Queens as the Mets got the season underway after a rainout yesterday, falling to the Milwaukee Brewers 3-1. We'll have highlights from Citi Field at 11. Yankees also back in action against the Astros in Houston later tonight after a comeback win yesterday. In the minor leagues, baseball returns to Central New York as the Syracuse Mets open the season with a 6-3 home win against the Rochester Red Wings. We had John Serio at NBT Bank Stadium this afternoon for opening day, and so we will have highlights of that one as well. And then in women's hoops, our final winter sports team standing, Colgate, continues its run in the WNIT, visiting the University of Vermont in the Super 16. This one tipped off just a little while ago at the top of the hour, and right now, the last update has Colgate in the lead, 16-11 early in the second quarter. So a lot to get to tonight here at the Adirondack Bank Center. The Comets taking on the Providence Bruins, looking to stay alive in the postseason hunt. Warm-ups in just a few minutes. Puck drop at the top of the hour. I'll see you tonight at 11 for all of it.
From the Sports Station, here's News Channel 2 Sports Director Spencer Davidson.
Good evening. The push to the playoffs continues for the Utica Comets, who hosted the Providence Bruins tonight in the second game of a 3-game homestand. With a big win over Laval on Wednesday, the Comets came in just 3 points out of the final playoff spot in the North Division with 10 games to go. So things a bit brighter, but you got to keep winning. It's hockey night in Utica, the Adirondack Bank Center, getting set to host the IIHF Women's World Championship next week. All 10 participating countries' flags now on display, but for the next couple of nights, still all about the Comets. In the first, Utica came out firing and break through just over 13 minutes into the contest. Nathan Ligari with the quick snapper from the slot for his first goal since being traded to the Comets, and he gives them a 1-0 lead. Final minute of the frame now, right after Utica is stopped on a chance. Providence sends it down the ice where Nico Dawes in a foot race with Anthony Richard for the loose puck. Dawes tries to clear it, hits off Richard, who then sends it into the empty cage to knot it up at 1 with 31.6 to go. So a tough break there. We're having some technical difficulties with the video apparently. Josh, can we get that back? Are we able to get that back? Okay, we're gonna try this again. So the IIHF Women's Worlds coming to town, as I said, next week. That starts next Wednesday. The Comets, again, with a big win over Laval the other day, were 3 points back of a playoff spot coming into tonight. Big difference from the potential 7 points back they would have been had they lost that game against Laval. So that is Nathan Ligari scoring to put the Comets up 1-0. And then here's Anthony Richard on the unfortunate bounce there to tie the game up at 1. And that was after 1 period of play. In the second, Bruins shorthanded but coming in 2-on-1. Richard across for Jason Megna, skate to stick, and finishes with the dangles to the backhand. The former Comet from the Canucks days with the shorty to put Providence up 2-1. Less than 3 minutes later, Bruins up ice in a hurry. Mark McLaughlin with the quick release, fooling Dawes 5-hole. Bruins took a 3-1 lead to the third. They'd go up 5-1 before the Comets made it a 1-goal game. In the end, though, Providence takes it 7-4, leaving 2 big points on the table for Utica. So a tough one for the Comets, made worse by a 2-1 Laval win over Belleville tonight. So Utica now 5 points behind the Rocket for the final playoff spot with 9 games to go. The Comets host Springfield tomorrow before heading out on a 4-game road trip starting next week. One final team.